If you've ever looked at your life and felt like a guest in your own story, as if the family you were born into speaks a language your heart never fully understood, as if the love you've sought has always echoed, just a few frequencies out of reach, it's not because you were misplaced or flawed. It's because your soul remembers what your mind has forgotten. You didn't land here by chance. You arrived by choice, and a choice made beyond time, beyond matter, in the sacred silence between lifetimes. If your childhood felt like a rehearsal for a play you never auditioned for, if your relationships feel like soul echoes rather than fresh beginnings, it's not a mistake. It's alignment. Your parents, siblings, and lovers, none of them are accidents. They are mirrors, messengers, and catalysts. You chose each one as a doorway. The idea that we choose our parents before birth may seem irrational at first glance, especially for those who have experienced deep pain, abandonment, or trauma within their families. Yet when we step outside the limits of the physical mind and into the greater awareness of the soul, we begin to understand that the choice of our parents is not accidental, cruel, or random. It is deliberate, intricate, and spiritually precise. Our parents are not just carriers of our physical body. They are energetic gateways through which we enter this world. Their genetic material, emotional patterns, and unresolved stories form the very landscape we must traverse in order to remember who we truly are. From a spiritual perspective, the soul exists in a timeless dimension where it observes the patterns of countless incarnations. In this expanded state of awareness, the soul evaluates which lessons remain incomplete and which spiritual capacities must still be developed. Contrary to what many believe, the soul does not prioritize comfort or ease. It seeks evolution, expansion, and the burning away of illusions. It wants to grow, and so it seeks out circumstances that will challenge it, refine it, and awaken it. One of the most powerful ways it does this is by choosing a family system that contains the precise conditions necessary for that evolution to occur. The parents we choose represent more than individuals. They embody living blueprints of emotional frequency, belief systems, behavioral patterns, and karmic inheritance. Our choice is not made in isolation. It is made in collaboration with soul guides, spiritual councils, and often the souls of the future parents themselves. These discussions take place before birth, in what some ancient traditions call the interlife, a dimension between incarnations. In these sacred meetings, agreements are made, roles are accepted, and a complex dance of love and challenge is choreographed. Even when the agreement involves pain, abandonment, or illness, it is never punishment. It is a form of divine architecture designed to serve a greater awakening. On the psychological level, the child inherits more than genes. The child absorbs the emotional residue of the parents, particularly the mother during gestation. Modern science has begun to uncover how trauma, stress, and even fear experienced by the mother can influence the developing nervous system of the fetus. This concept, which ancient spiritual systems have long understood, is now echoed in the field of epigenetics, the study of how emotional experiences and environmental conditions can affect gene expression. In other words, we do not only inherit what our parents experienced, we often inherit how they responded to life itself. What the soul understands is that this emotional DNA, this silent invisible frequency, is a key ingredient in its mission. If the soul has chosen to learn resilience, it may choose parents who are emotionally unavailable, forcing it to discover inner stability. If the soul is healing a past life wound of powerlessness, it might choose a father who is dominating or critical, providing the exact conditions to reawaken personal strength. These choices are not made from masochism, but from mastery. The soul is not naive. It knows that the personality, the ego formed in this life, will suffer. But the soul does not measure growth in comfort. It measures it in light, in love, in realization. Sometimes we choose parents with whom we have had past lives. These can be karmic entanglements, where a dynamic needs to be completed or rebalanced. A mother who was a child in one life may now return as the caregiver to her former parent. A sibling in this life may have been a rival, lover, or even an enemy in another. These switches are not chaotic. They are guided by what can only be called a divine intelligence. The relationships we are born into are not random. They are echoes of unfinished stories written with the hope that this time the ending will be different. For those who have experienced deep harm at the hands of their parents, this teaching may initially feel invalidating, but it is crucial to understand that choosing a parent does not mean choosing to be abused or harmed. It means choosing to be born into a specific matrix of energy, where such possibilities exist, not with the goal of suffering, but with the goal of transcending. In some cases, the soul may enter into a difficult family to break a generational cycle of abuse, addiction, or silence. In doing so, that soul becomes a liberator, not only for itself, but for the entire ancestral line. Healing is rarely personal. It ripples backward and forward through time. When we think of soulmates, most people instinctively think of romantic partners, but in truth, some of our most profound soul contracts are not with lovers. They are with those we are born beside, our siblings. Whether they are our closest companions, distant strangers, or even lifelong rivals, the siblings we choose before birth are never accidental. They are part of a constellation of souls who return with us across multiple lifetimes, weaving a complex and sacred tapestry of growth, healing, and remembrance. From the soul's perspective, life is not a solo mission. We incarnate alongside a familiar group of souls who rotate roles across lifetimes. In one life, someone may be your brother. In another, your daughter, mother, or even your adversary. These soul clusters move together across dimensions and time periods, supporting each other's evolution by playing out key themes. We choose these companions not only out of love, but out of necessity. Our growth depends on the friction, support, reflection, and challenge that only these specific souls can provide. Siblings in particular offer a unique energetic dynamic. Unlike parents, who usually carry an authority role and represent the structure of the past, siblings are often peers, mirrors of the self, born into the same family, influenced by similar circumstances, yet responding in radically different ways. This contrast is not coincidental. It is carefully designed. When a soul chooses a sibling, it is choosing a reflection point, another soul who will walk beside them either harmoniously or tensely in order to highlight unhealed aspects of the self. From a spiritual standpoint, siblings often embody opposite expressions of a shared karmic theme. For instance, two siblings may both be born into a family where emotional expression is suppressed. One may become highly expressive, even volatile, while the other becomes emotionally shut down. Each is exploring a different side of the same wound, and through their interactions, whether nurturing or antagonistic, they unconsciously provoke growth in each other. The soul sees this dynamic not as conflict but as refinement. It uses the sibling bond to stretch the heart, strengthen the will, and break through inherited patterns. In many cases, souls agree to incarnate as siblings, specifically to balance unresolved dynamics from past lives. For example, a soul who once betrayed or harmed another may now return as their younger brother or sister, placed in a position of dependency and innocence. This reversal offers a sacred opportunity for forgiveness, reparation, and energetic harmony. These arrangements are not punishments. They are spiritual invitations, chances to rewrite old stories with new levels of awareness. The deeper we look, the clearer it becomes that our siblings are not simply people we grow up with. They are spiritual archetypes. They are echoes of ourselves written in different bodies, vibrating with complementary lessons. Whether they bring us joy or pain, closeness or distance, they are there to help us awaken. Their presence or their absence is part of our soul's story. Healing sibling relationships, therefore, is not just about resolving childhood wounds. It is about reconnecting with the sacred contract that brought you together. It is about honoring the courage it takes for two souls to descend into this dense world and play out lessons they may have rehearsed for lifetimes. And even when reconciliation is not possible in the physical sense, it can be achieved energetically through forgiveness, intention, and prayer. The notion that we choose our romantic partners before birth might seem counterintuitive in a world that romanticizes the idea of finding love by chance. Yet the reality is that romantic attraction is often a magnetism based on deep unconscious forces. When we are drawn to someone, there is typically more at play than mere surface-level chemistry. The attraction is an energetic resonance, a pull between two souls who are destined to meet. These connections are often not random. They are intentional, predestined by the higher consciousness of our being. The dynamics between two romantic partners can often seem to mirror the unresolved themes within each individual. One partner might mirror a deeply held fear of abandonment, while the other may bring up issues of power and control. These imbalances are not accidents. They are invitations to heal. Consider the idea of the twin flame, a concept that originates in ancient spiritual teachings. Twin flames are often thought of as two halves of one soul, split across lifetimes, each holding a part of the soul's essence. When twin flames meet, they can feel an immediate, inexplicable connection, as though they are returning home. However, the union between twin flames is not always harmonious. In fact, the intensity of the connection often brings both individuals to face their deepest fears, insecurities, and shadows. This is because twin flames are not here to simply experience love in its idealized form. They are here to catalyze each other's evolution, often through periods of separation and reconnection. It is through the friction, the contrast, and the alchemical merging of their energies that they can reach their highest potential. A similar yet more common dynamic exists with what are often called soulmates. Soulmates are souls with whom we have deep, abiding connections that transcend individual lifetimes. These are the people who seem to get us in ways that others don't, who feel like they've always been with us. Soulmates can be romantic partners, but they can also be friends, mentors, or even family members. In romantic relationships, soulmates are often those individuals with whom we have lived through many lifetimes, supporting each other's evolution in different forms. Unlike twin flames, soulmate unions are often marked by a deeper sense of ease and shared purpose, even if they too involve significant life lessons. These relationships offer the opportunity to experience love's most transformative qualities: compassion, empathy, and growth. However, it is crucial to understand that not all romantic partners are soulmates or twin flames. In fact, many of our romantic relationships are karmic in nature, intense, often painful connections that are designed to force us to confront unfinished business from the past. A karmic partner may mirror unresolved wounds, unhealed trauma, or unconscious patterns from previous lives. For example, a soul that once inflicted harm on another may return in this life to experience the role of the victim, allowing both parties to experience healing and balance. Karmic relationships are characterized by a sense of inevitability, as though we are destined to meet and repeat certain patterns. They are never meaningless. Even if they bring deep pain or heartbreak, they serve a purpose. They are meant to awaken us, to strip away illusions, and to force us to confront parts of ourselves we have ignored or denied. Karmic relationships often feel fated. There's an instant attraction, a sense of recognition, even if it's wrapped in chaos. You may find yourself repeating old, emotional cycles of chasing love you can't keep, tolerating pain you know isn't good for you, or trying to fix what was never yours to heal. But these experiences are not punishments. They are reflections of internal imprints carried forward from past lives. The soul uses them as mirrors to show us where we still carry wounds that need attention. The key to navigating karmic relationships is awareness. Once you recognize the pattern, you begin to see it not as a trap but as a doorway. You stop blaming the other person and start asking, what part of me is being shown here? What lesson needs to be learned so I can move forward? Unlike soulmates or twin flames, karmic partners rarely stay forever. Their role is to stir things up, not settle them down. They come into our lives to ignite transformation, and once their job is done, they often leave, sometimes abruptly, sometimes painfully. But even when the relationship ends, its impact remains. These connections are among the most difficult to release because they are deeply entangled with our emotional history. Yet letting go is not about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself from the gravitational pull of patterns that no longer serve your highest growth. As we evolve spiritually, we begin to attract different kinds of relationships, ones rooted in harmony, mutual growth, and conscious co-creation. These are the relationships that support our awakening, rather than trigger our wounds. Choosing romantic partners before birth doesn't mean every relationship is destined to last. It means that each one serves a specific purpose on our soul's journey. Whether it brings joy or heartbreak, union or separation, it is never random. And just like with family and siblings, the people we meet romantically are not chosen by chance. They are selected by the soul for their energetic resonance and spiritual compatibility. Even when the relationship seems dysfunctional from the outside, there is often a deeper reason for its existence. Ultimately, all relationships are sacred. They are invitations to grow, to heal, and to remember who we truly are beneath the roles we play and the stories we tell ourselves. When we understand this, we can look back at even our most painful relationships with gratitude, not because they didn't hurt, but because they helped us evolve. We came here not to live perfect lives, but to awaken through experience. And every connection, whether fleeting or lifelong, plays a role in that awakening. So if you've ever felt like your life was written by someone else's hand, know this. You chose the plot, the setting, and the supporting cast. You chose the lessons, the challenges, and the moments of grace. You are not lost. You are exactly where you meant to be. And everything you've lived through has brought you closer to remembering the truth, that you are not just a body, a mind, or even a personality. You are a soul, eternal, powerful, and deeply loved.